please subscribe to and like our channel. You can read more about our community at our Substack, Exoconscious Humans. With a paid $8 subscription, you can join our monthly Exoconscious coaching through our Substack. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another creative session of Exoconscious Humans YouTube. Today, we're going to be talking with three of our esteemed artists, and we're going to be talking about their contact, their creativity, how the co-creation works with them, maybe how their contact art was birthed. Their art is available on our website, exoconscioushumans.com, under gallery. So if you're interested in their work, you can pull their work up on the gallery. And also under experts on the website, you can also read their bios and contact them if you have any questions, or if you're interested in getting into art and thought that might be a way to express your contact. You can contact them from that page also. We're trying to bring forth experiencers to talk about their work, their life, how they've integrated contact into their personal life, their professional life, and this is a perfect platform for that. So we're welcoming Gary Borse and Aurora and April. And April, do you want to start and give us an overview of who you are and what your art is?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate. And this is not very often that artists get to talk about their art. And I've been an artist since I was really age 4. I started painting and drawing from the get-go. And my natal chart actually indicates that I am an artist. I can't avoid it. So even if I don't show my stuff, I'm always creating. I'm always making something. So what we have here is a painting I just totally love. It's called Joy. And all my paintings actually have a couple of names because I always try to hide what I really intend in my work. So the other name for this painting is called A Kingdom for a Single Pearl. I got inspired by scripture. This king gave everything away for a single pearl. And it was just like, why would he do this kind of thing? And this is a very large oil painting. It's in a private collection, but it's a great example of kind of what I do. Is I love the vortex, the spotlight of going into another dimension, and everything's not quite real. And joy is like everybody, when they're really, really happy and express joy, they put their hands up. And it's just so symbolic. And I really enjoyed doing this painting. At the time, it took about 6 months. It's oil. And my friend, who was in her late 90s, was in her last days. And I just didn't dare finish the painting until she was on the other side, because I thought, I don't know what I thought, but there was a lot of emotion and feeling put into this kind of work. This one here is the earlier oil painting, also a very large one. And so I'm exploring safety net, like so my contact is a lot of light people, and it's like multi-dimensional, and it's really hard to understand. So I have this safety net that, yeah, on this side you're okay, but on the other side it's a whole different world, so this was kind of what I was doing. And quite often I'll put grids in. I play with color because color is really important. It expresses ideas that our subconscious mind accepts. This one I love too. Return to the Sockeye. So I live on the beautiful west coast of BC, and it's so fascinating. Every year, all these salmon come from the wild oceans all over the place, and they come back to their original stream that they were born in. So they got like some kind of GPS thing in their brain or something, and they go to their own stream, their own birthing place. And as they come from the ocean, they actually change. they change color, they change into this vibrant orange and weird green heads, and off they go. So again, I'm exploring dimensions, but I'm also exploring like the fight of life, really, because they go out in the ocean, I don't know how many years, and they come back. And it's just, I love it. This is a feel-good painting that I do. I do these kind of works. It's just like something calming for me. It's like, it's just symbolic. It's just very calming. And I notice with me, I actually have to change. I have to segment my artwork. So I go in series and I keep on adding to the series every year. But my preference, obviously, is oil paint. This is another landscape. So what we're looking at is, again, my exploration of dimensions. The mountains in between the tree line is like our 3D space, but the apple trees in the forefront are in a different dimension. So dimensions don't look like 3D. That's what I'm always trying to discover. I really like this painting. Then I get into mandalas. I have a whole mandala collection, and these are really, when I started them, I had a collection of albums my husband gifted me when he passed away, and I named the mandala after a song on the back. And this one happens to be called Venus, which is, it's just what's the chances? So when I was doing these mandalas, I was focusing on color. I wanted to create a new color, and I didn't focus on form, composition, geometry. I know that I'm the laziest person with the ruler, and I realize now, after looking at them a couple years later, that they are channeled. How I do my graphs and I do my grids. Well, this is like going within the grid and looking in. So I'm really starting to pay a lot more attention. I did dozens and dozens, and then I actually expanded to canvas, which is a whole different thing. Trying to do a mandala on a rectangular canvas is, anyways, I don't try. And it's not, I start in the middle. There's a couple of videos of me demonstrating how I do it. Is I start in the middle and I just keep on going. I don't think about form. All of them were different. But I think I was kind of successful in getting color, like changing color, because color in other dimensions are different. And how do you describe that? That's, as an artist, these are the kind of questions I ask myself. So this is my latest painting. It's a very serious painting, and it's going alongside with my spiritual kind of work. Like since COVID, I've been just really working a lot on personal development, and that's why I joined Rebecca's group. So I wanted to show you the process of building a painting. This is an oil painting. It's very large, and I visualized a blue flame deep, deep, deep in the earth, in a cave. And it's a healing flame. And how do you access it, right? So this was my idea. And I start with board. I don't do canvas, I do board because I'm small and I don't put my knee through it. So I've wrecked a lot of paintings that way. And when you're creating an original piece of art, there's a lot of problem solving. There's a lot of, decisions you have to make about color and, how detailed do you want to make it? So the end result is the one on the right, which I'm pretty happy with, actually. But I just wanted to show the process of how a painting emerges from an idea in the head to actually onto canvas. So what I'm describing is a cave with this green emerald bowl with a blue flame, and around the flame, if you look at a flame, and I had to study flames, I had light one and look, how do they really look? And that's what artists do. We look beyond looking. We try to see what's really there. So around a flame is like this energy of its own, and it flickers, and it's just, yeah. So I tried to capture that. I don't know how successful I was, but yeah, I like that. My concept of the Council of Eight, I was in the morning group, and Kevin Briggs was a couple years ago was describing this Council of Eight at a round table. And when he's going in front of them, and I thought, how intimidating could that be? And what could they possibly look like? From his description, this is how I created this little digital painting. It gives it a whole different perspective than looking at it from just your mind's eye, right? I wasn't really looking at aliens in my life. I mainly see light people. It's a bit of a stretch for me to go into this space of finding out what they look like. But Kevin explained to me that the raw on the end here is actually brown tone, not blue. So that was really good feedback. The beautiful lady, yeah, the beautiful duck. He talks about this beautiful blue duck. So this is my contact. It's a Lyran Anahazi being way, way, way in another dimension, way, way, way up. This entity doesn't speak English. In churches, we called it tongues. Within our community, we call it light language, but it's symbolic language. That's really what we're looking at. So it's beautiful. Maybe it's me. Who knows, right? That's a really popular image. I started a Redbubble store. So people are asking for that. So because of Exoconsciousness and Rebecca, she said, well, we have to do something. We have to participate somehow. So I went out on a limb and I started drawing classes for experiencers. And not just experiencers. I mean, some people, like, I was resistant on the ET thing. I was comfortable with angels. So that's just the progression I've gone through. And so it was really successful. I was amazed at the scientists that came into the class, and I learned a lot. So I went, that's what I did in 2023, my little drawing classes. They were very small. And now I want to expand that. I want to expand my audience, I guess you could say. So I'm putting together this trusting your inner mystic painting class. And just let people go wild. I do drawing classes for women at the Friendship Center. And we start off with a meditation. We go in the forest and we meet ourselves. And then I walk them through, different ways or I walk them through the basic structure of the painting and let them loose. And I'm amazed, like within 2 hours, 40 women have finished artwork. It's amazing. So I get a high off it. It's a lot of fun for me. So I'm working on this painting classes, probably start in January. So it just opens it up more for people because just not everybody's interested in aliens. So, or you can't help it. If they're in your life, you got to confront yourself, that's why coaching was really good for me because I wasn't happy, with living alternate life. I wanted to, play with pets. So this is something I wanted to really highlight with everybody that everybody can do every day. I'm an advocate for exercising our right side of the brain. Our right side of the brain is the symbolic side. It's the side that cannot talk too. It has no words. I'm encouraging people to doodle every day, when you're having your coffee. I mean, we could even do one now. So they're just simple scribbles or suns or squares, or I have an example here where I just use the alphabet and just go really, really fast. And you'll see that the alphabet will distort on you. It's very good thing to add into your your day. I remember being in many, many, many board meetings, sitting there. I'd be the one taking all the minutes and I'd be doodling and drawing, thinking about paintings that I was going to do. Yeah, this is one of my favorite paintings. It's another really large piece, and I incorporated all my ideas, the orbs that's in my life, the coming down from the stars, like this girl's on a wooden bench holding on to the golden threads, like, does she really want to go down there what's unknown into the murky unknown that may be Earth? That took me about a year to complete, and it's about 5 feet by 4 feet. I know Gary likes doing large paintings too, so again, there's a lot of decisions that you make in putting these kind of pieces together. And I always try to provoke a feeling in the viewer. That's my job. I really want to provoke a feeling in you. I have a Redbubble store because people are asking me for my images, and there they can order t-shirts, mugs, whatever they want. And I think that's it.
But that was beautiful. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Those mandalas look so much like crop circles.
They're channeled, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't try to make them. That's my point.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your website and your store and your classes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're starting again in January. Bravo.
Yeah, thank you very
The
much.
world needs more exoconscious classes.
We need more art. Yes.
We need more art. Yeah. So Gary, do you want to go next?
I've been painting all my life, and I paint Florida landscapes, and you can see my work at garyborst.com if you want to see my landscapes. But what happened to me when I had contact, I started thinking more and more about my contact experiences while I was painting. And I started talking, and I started asking for assistance and help and guidance in certain things that I was doing with my regular painting career. I would laugh every time something would happen that would come out of my palette that would just amaze me so much that I would just be, like, wow, holy cow, I can't believe that. So that would change my whole painting. That would change the whole flavor. It could turn it from something that's stoic to completely romantic. When I had some contact, the beings that I've had contact with have done some amazing things, not just for myself, but for my groups that I host when I do monthly CE5 groups. To explain the contact, the type of contact I have, it's like I always feel like I'm connected anytime I want to just think about these beings. And it's like I'm hooked up to that frequency when I want to be. It's just like a dial-up. And if I want to sit down on a chair in a few minutes, I can go ahead and I can go there. And something can happen. I can have something happen to me, or I can have something come to me, or an idea, or a person, or some kind of a message. At one point, I decided that I needed to try something. I was kind of felt like I was being prodded into this or something. I never did this before. I decided that I would set up my palette, and I would be simple, but then I changed it all around, and I just started squirting all kinds of colors all over my palette. And I got a big bucket of water. I didn't just use a regular bucket. I'm using acrylics. So I have my bucket of water out, and I closed up all the doors to keep the animals out, the dogs. I didn't want to hear the horses or the cattle or anybody making any noise or doing anything. I wanted to be completely isolated so I could try this, because it was going to be something I never did before. I always listened to classical music when I work, and I decided that I would listen to that while I would sit and I would meditate for a few minutes. And then I was going to go ahead and I was going to paint. So I pulled out a bunch of brushes. I had my water, I squirted out all the colors, and I laid my canvas down, and I just turned around after I came up and to myself out of my little meditation, and I just started mixing colors on my palette by just throwing water on the palette and letting all the colors run all over the place and bleed. Now, this wasn't a premeditated thing. This was something that I was told, just go ahead and just do that. So I just did that. And then all of a sudden I'm smearing all the colors. And as I turn around, I have the canvas behind me so that I can't see what the canvas looks like until I actually turn around 180 degrees. This way I'm not influenced by what I'm looking at, only looking at the palette and bringing whatever's on that palette behind me and throwing it out there. So that was the process that I wanted to achieve, and I did that. This is my first piece. This is called the inauguration. And what happened here is I started smearing dark blue all over the place and just letting it run and slop it out, and then just turning around and then reaching in and then grabbing more blues and more, mix some white in there and throw it out all over, and then just start smearing oranges and then putting pops of reds and yellows. As I would turn around, whatever would grab me on the palette, I would grab that color with my brush, and I would turn around and I would just lay it down, lay my hand down somewhere, and that's going to be where it goes, and I would make those marks. That's how I ended up doing that. And as I was doing it, I was just smearing all the stuff around. I was realizing I'm making actual figures here. I allowed that to happen. And each time I turned around, I would take another color and I would just throw it onto what I would think that was possibly a figure. And then I would just let this all come and just kept on doing it over and over. And about 2 hours later, I come up with this image, and I'm just totally flabbergasted because it's like something I've never done in my life. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I was enhancing it a little while before I would say, let's say I come out of the trance, because I have to call it basically a trance because there's nothing else to bother me. I have the music softly in the background, and I'm completely connected to that music through my heart, and I'm channeling whatever they're telling me to go ahead and do, and I'm just doing it. I'm just like being like a puppet with a paintbrush, all kinds of colors all around behind me, and the canvas laying down in front of me flat. So I end up coming up with this stuff, and I look at it, and it seems like there's two beings up in the foreground, and I would assume that they could possibly be royalty, or maybe they're part of this event or something that seems to be going on. There's a bunch of beings in the background. It looks like there's something, I don't know what it is, in the middle. And then there's these three little things on the bottom, three little beings, it looks like, on the bottom. And they could be like spoilers at this event, or they could be the entertainment at this event. They could be guests or something, who knows? You can see there's little areas where there's like planets or something, or some stars or suns, and then possibly those are lights in the background, the yellow. Just to look at this and see it, I had it hanging up for about 2 weeks. And then I looked at this shape on the right-hand side in the corner that's kind of purpley. And I look at it and I was thinking that's some kind of a being, but then I realized it looks like a silhouette of someone's head. You can see the hairline, and then comes down, and then the forehead, and then there's the eye, then there's the nose. And then there's a little orange dot there where like the mouth would be, and then the chin. And I thought it when I saw it, that's the observer. And that could have been me observing what's going on as I was bringing this image in. This is the kind of thing that happens. And this is the kind of excitement that I like in my life. So I've done this a couple of times now. I'll end up enhancing them a little bit more, but I fight with myself because I don't really want to spoil what happened when I was actually doing the work. And that's called the inauguration. And then the second one that I did, and it's called the visitation. And I didn't have a real big palette, but I ended up only using these colors, and I didn't get out of it. I really didn't shy away from that. So it's very monochromatic, but it appears to be some kind of a being, or an angel type of being, or something with lots of little orbs inside. Could be a lot of other beings that are inside. And then there's all these little tiny beings, all these dots appear to be some kind of beings that are all around this one. So, and I called it the visitation. And that was probably 2 hours as well. This is the explorers, and this is another one that I did monochromatic. And these little beings showed up in this one too. And There's appears to be two beings here, and it looks like they're kind of on a journey or something. And there's other beings in these structures all around and orbs, and then there's some floating beings up on the right side. And it appears that these little guys are running over here or ahead of these guys. It was so hot in my studio, and this happened on a couple of these paintings, at least 3 of them, that I was dripping sweat on the paintings. So as my sweat would hit the painting and it would splash in the painting, I would just turn around and grab white or blue and I would stick it on there to make an orb. And that's where the orbs are, is where my sweat was landing on the paint. This is large. This is 36 by 48 wide. So I like to paint large because I like to see what I'm doing. This one here is another one that I did that I had like maybe a couple of hours and I just was really itching to do something. And I took this old painting that I had, and there's little pieces underneath. You can see all kinds of dark areas and stuff. That's from another painting. So I started doing the same thing, and I set up the palette, and I didn't have a lot of colors. I probably used 4 colors, 2 blues, I think, and maybe a yellow and a red, and some white. And then I just started doing the same thing. I poured the bucket all over it. So I started pouring the paint all over and smushing it all around. I ended up doing these beings in white. And then as I was doing them, I kept on moving the paint around, the blues and the whites and the blues and the whites. And I saw all these little swirls, and I realized that I was like making energy. So I was painting this energy. And then when I was done, I said, wow, I like this. This is cool. And I put some orbs here and there because there were droplets and spills. And I just like put them in there. And then I just said, wow, I like it. I don't know what it is, And I look and I see, well, the one on the right is a little whiter than the one on the left. And then I put it on my speaker in the corner by my easel, and I let it sit there for a couple months. And then one day I was painting, and I didn't know what to call it. And I always thought I'll call it Spirits Have Fun or something like that. And then all of a sudden I hear this song when I'm painting. Somebody's singing, hey, hey, the gang's all here. And I just turned to my left and I looked at the painting, and that's my mom and dad. And that's what they did at all the weddings, all the funerals, all the confirmations. Everywhere they went, they danced with everybody, and that was their favorite thing. And my mom wore those flowing chiffon veils and the scarves. And my dad was always the life of the party when he danced with everybody, all the girls, all the little nieces, and all the aunts, and all the grandmas, and everyone. So that was what happened to me with that painting. I think that it's a really exciting area for people to explore, like automatic writing and our channeling through meditation. Pick up your paints, get your charcoal, get your pastels out, your watercolors, your oils, whatever, and just shut out the world and just go play and be a child, and ask to just let yourself free. And when you're free and completely free and you can disappear, you actually watch this thing appear in front of you that you're created, not even knowing what it is. And that's the thrill. And that's what the co-creation is all about.
Thanks, Gary. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Aurora, do you want to share your art?
I'm listening to you guys and I'm going, dang, do I really belong in this group? I mean, you guys are both professional artists, and the stuff that both of you draw is just absolutely fascinating. The scale of your art is just amazing to me, because I work in a sketchbook, 9 by 12 page. And it takes me, like you guys are talking about, a couple hours. Actually, April, you said it took you a couple of years, to draw something. It takes me a couple of weeks. But I was not an artist from the get-go. I would be able to draw stick figures at best. And I went to a C5 at Gary's house. I think it was about a year ago, not much longer than that. And I don't know what happened to me there, but I came home after that, and all of a sudden, I really wanted to start drawing pictures of ETs. I drew one being,
And as I was drawing it, I was starting to get messages for this person that I had met at the CE5. This is somebody that I had only met once. I've had this urge to basically text him the messages that I was getting as I was drawing this creature. It turned out to be a mantis being. In any case, I told him, I don't know if I'm going crazy or what's going on, but this is what's happening. And interestingly enough, everything that I sent him really resonated with him. And he even texted me a few months later and said that he had an Akashic reading done, and basically everything that I had told him was validated by that reading. So that was really interesting. That was very, very surprising. But from that point on, I started to notice that when I started drawing, I would begin to feel the presence of other beings. And it started with the Council of Eight, just because, I had joined the Exoconscious group and I met Gary and I met Kevin, and whoever knows Kevin knows about the Council of Eight. Zark is a gray from the Council of Eight, and he has a really great sense of humor. And the way this started out was I was having a rough morning, and I wanted to draw because I always feel better when I draw. And then suddenly this image popped in my head of this gray with an huge head with this tiny little propeller hat on top of his head. And I just busted out laughing. And as I started to draw him, for some reason, I drew the glasses on him. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. And I went to erase them. And he said, no, if anything, add more detail, because he said they made him look cool. That totally improved my mood. And the light bulb he's holding in his hand is a message to all of us to lighten up on ourselves. And that really applies to me, because sometimes I take myself way too seriously. There's other things in this drawing, like the equation on his chest. That's something that Kevin got in a download about the creation process using consciousness. And then the mom tattoo was a suggestion from somebody else in my Exoconscious group. And Zark was okay with all of this. It was all just about how I felt, not necessarily so much about what I saw. And I tried to convey that in this drawing with the bright colors and the contrast. He had a very, very pleasant, high energy, very playful. After Zark, the next one that I drew from the Council of Eight, this is Dee, and she's an Arcturian. Again, Kevin has met these beings face to face, so to speak. I haven't seen them other than in my mind's eye, and I don't get a clear picture in the way that Kevin got of these beings. But I do get the feelings and that's what I try to portray in my art. So there's the Boots constellation there with Arcturus in the right-hand side. She insisted on having that constellation in her drawing. So I did that. And when I posted this drawing on Facebook, a lot of people saw those stars and interpreted them as light language and activation codes. So that was very interesting to hear what other people got out of these drawings. So this is Ort. He is Dee's husband. He's also an Arcturian. And I actually met Ort for the first time before I ever knew about the Council of Eight. It was after a car accident I had about 10 years ago. I felt nudged to go in my meditation room. And as soon as I sat down on my cushion, at that time, I was really going through a lot of depression. I couldn't work anymore. It was just a really kind of a sad situation. But in any case, Ort showed up, and twice he told me this is not a punishment, because that's where I was going with this whole experience. I was being punished for some reason. So Ort definitely clarified that. Now, I've showed this drawing in my notebook to another person. Usually I just post them on Facebook and people have their own reactions to them. Some people see that they recognize this being, which is very encouraging. But I did share it with another person who actually saw it in my notebook. And as soon as I showed it to her, she literally started crying. She burst into tears because she could feel his energy come through the drawing. And I realized that these portraits that I do, it's not so much about the portraits that's important, is the way that these beings use these portraits to project their energy into our space. I've noticed that with quite a few of them, just based on the comments that people are making about these drawings when I put them up on Facebook, they really do have that effect on them. This drawing, actually, this is the second version of it. The first one was nowhere near as realistic looking. And it was interesting. Ort would not sit still for a portrait until I watched a couple of YouTube videos about how to draw a more realistic face. I was very intimidated by trying that. I mean, I had only drawn 3 other drawings, and before that, it was all stick figures. So when he came out the way he did, looking the way he did, I really love the eyes on this one. I couldn't believe that I actually drew that. It just blew my mind. This is Arna. She is a blue avian. And again, I drew her at first with a really long beak. I don't know if you could see right above her beak, there's like a different color blue than her cheeks. And that's because her beak went all the way up to her forehead like a duck. She came to me in meditation and in no uncertain terms told me that her beak does not look like that it's a lot shorter. And so as soon as I was done, I fixed it, and it looks like, I managed to conceal it pretty good. There's some symbols around this drawing. The purple writing, I guess it's light language. I have no idea what it says, but people who have looked at this drawing really love every aspect of it. The fact that she's so colorful and relatable and so on. It's really gotten a lot of positive response from people who have seen it. So for me, it's all about sharing the emotions that I feel when I am in touch with these beings. I guess it's a channeling or a telepathic communication. I really love it. I would rather draw than do anything else, but I do have to sleep every now and again. There's always laundry and, other things to do. But being in the company of these beings is just absolutely, it's absolutely phenomenal because they have so much kindness. The emotions that they share with me are just loving kindness and who they are as individuals. I get to feel their vibration and how they feel about, being part of the Council of Eight and working towards, the reveal or, open contact. This is another one from the Council of Eight. This is a bioengineer. Her name is Arla. And I try to show that she's a bioengineer with all the little squiggles on the side or all the way around her, kind of organic looking. She's supposed to have transparent hair, but that's the best that I could do as far as her hair. But she also got a lot of positive comments when I posted her. This is Ra. Now it's interesting because in April's drawing, he was blue. And that's how I started to draw him, as a blue being. And then I talked to Kevin, and Kevin said that no, he has brown skin. So that's how I changed it. But the wings in the back, Kevin has told me that he has seen Ra as an eagle. He's had encounters with Ra, not just, face to face, but also as other beings. If you look at the little beetles over here on the side, on the kind of the bottom left, I like to draw out on my balcony, and there was a windy day, and I had my red marker open, and the wind flipped the page onto my red marker, and I was just mortified. I had these, lines on my drawing. Now it was finished actually, so that was the last thing that happened. So I actually drew some beetles because beetles are a good, I guess, symbol for Egypt, and Ra definitely has a lot of Egyptian energy to him. So I drew them on a separate piece of paper, and I cut them out and I glued them on to cover up the marks, so you can't really see, what's there. My artwork has opened up a whole other realm of existence. I interact with these beings while I'm drawing them. Once I make the connection, it's never broken. I can, connect with them again. And I think right now I probably have maybe 17 or 20 different drawings of beings overall. And every single one is very different. Every single one is a different experience. I really love sharing them with other people, because one of the downloads that I got was that there are so many beings who are looking forward to meeting with us. They're very excited about meeting with us. And so it's important that we expand our frame of reference, for one, because some of them look a little unusual, like the blue avians and the grays. And there was a mantis being that I drew as well. But more importantly, this is a precursor to open contact, is this type of communication, this type of channeling, or I guess telepathic communication, where we do get to connect with these beings and get kind of get acclimated to the idea of them even being there to begin with. For a lot of the people who see my drawings on Facebook, it really helps them to reframe these types of contacts in a more positive light, because the beings that I draw are friendly, because that's how I feel them. They do feel friendly and loving. That's what I portray, is that aspect of the ETs and the other dimensional beings that, the mainstream media and Hollywood have really done a number on people. They're so afraid of things. That's pretty much, what my artwork is about. It's all about sharing it. If you want to see more of it, you just go on Facebook and just look up Aurora Belcia. There's only one of me. So you can send me a message, and I'll send you a link to my Google Drive. Also, there's these drawings that you saw are on the Exoconscious website, like Rebecca said. But I've uploaded all the other drawings onto my Google Drive, and I'll send you the link, and you can just download and share them. They're free. I don't charge anything for any of them. They're just to share with everybody. The more they get shared around, I think the better it's going to be for all of us.